Let me take you back to Destiny 1 to talk about what is, I think, the most infamous sniper of Destiny 1. Today, we're talking about one of Destiny's most iconic exotics, Icebreaker. This sniper rifle wasn't just a weapon, it was literally a game changer in both PvE and PvP. So today we're going to explore its legendary status in year 1 and how it made its triumphant comeback in year 3. But before we get into this, please subscribe as it's the best way to support me right now, and thank you guys so much for all the support already. Anyway, back to the video. To start us off, Icebreaker was renowned for its unique perks. As a solar exotic weapon, it already packed a punch. But first, let's talk about its signature perk, Icebreaker. This perk allowed the weapon to literally regenerate ammo over time. So basically, you would never need to pick up special ammo. 6 bullets regenerated at the rate of 1 round every 5 seconds. You could only have 6 bullets in the mag at one time, and this was Bungie's way of balancing it by making sure 6 was the maximum amount you could carry. This made it so valuable for long encounters and boss fights where ammo conservation was crucial. Next we have Mulligan, and this was a staple for a lot of snipers back in Destiny 1. This meant that missing a shot had a chance to return it directly to the magazine, and combining this with the regenerating ammo, this perk meant you rarely ran out of shots. Another key factor of the Icebreaker was, as mentioned, the solar damage, which made Icebreaker especially effective against enemies with solar shields. Imagine how powerful this was during a Nightfall with solar singe on it. This added another layer of versatility to the gun, allowing players to use it for simple mini bosses and the boss fight just to get the ammo right back. In year 1, Icebreaker made its way into almost every loadout, especially for PvE activities. If you weren't running Black Hammer with Gjallarhorn, you probably ran Icebreaker. Its ammo regeneration made it perfect for raids and nightfalls where ammo rarity could be a real problem. One of the most famous uses was during the Vault of Glass, when players would use Icebreaker to one-shot oracles and run through other mechanics without ever worrying about any ammo. The solar damage on it also made it ideal for nightfalls with solar burn modifiers. Players could literally take down powerful enemies, bosses quickly and effectively, making nightfalls much more manageable. Now, getting Icebreaker in year 1 wasn't too straightforward. It was an exotic weapon, which meant it was subject to RNG. And nowadays in Destiny 2, exotics don't feel as RNG, but in Destiny 1, exotics were crazy rare. You rarely got exotic engrams. They could drop from any activity, such as nightfalls, strikes, raids, and sometimes Xur would even sell the Icebreaker, but even that was extremely rare. Guardians who were lucky enough to get their hands on Icebreaker knew they had something special, and like most, probably fell in love with their weapon. This weapon was sunset going into year 2, however, fast forward to year 3, and Icebreaker made its triumphant return in the Rise of Iron expansion. Bungie reintroduced the beloved sniper, much to the excitement of the Destiny community. The perks remained largely the same, ensuring that it retained its unique identity, and to get Icebreaker in year 3, Guardians had to complete a Sunrise bounty for a chance at getting this weapon. This bounty required players to complete a Nightfall with a high score, emphasizing speed and efficiency, and once you completed the bounty, you only had a chance to get it. But once you got your hands on it, you would gain access to Trials of Osiris. And the reason I say this is because Icebreaker was so incredibly valuable during year 3, and this is because players did not spawn with special ammo in Crucible. The first time you spawned in, you did. After every time you died, you would not. This meant securing special ammo crates was needed for your special weapons. However, Icebreaker's ammo regeneration bypassed this limitation entirely. Players with Icebreaker never had to worry about special ammo crates. They could literally sit in the back of their spawn, get the ammo, and then go out. This gave players a significant advantage in Crucible, and especially Trials, as they never had to wait for any special ammo. The legacy of Icebreaker still lives as one of the most iconic exotics in Destiny's history. It had the unique perks and added strategic depth to gameplay, leaving a lasting impact on the community. Many players still reminisce about their favorite moments using Icebreaker, solidifying its place in Destiny's Hall of Fame. And if I could, I would place this weapon on Destiny's Mount Rushmore. And there you have it. Icebreaker was more than a sniper, it was a legend. From its unique perks to its dominance in PvE and its memorable return in year 3, Icebreaker holds a special place in Destiny's history, and if you played Destiny 1, you likely remember this gun. Today, we're talking about the era of Destiny 1, year 1, when 2 iconic hand cannons broke the game. Of course, we are talking about the Thorn and the Last Word, who reigned supreme and changed the game forever. And no, I will not be talking about the Taken King or Rise of Iron in this video, maybe another time, but we are solely focusing on year 1. And these weapons were not just powerful, they were downright broken. So let's explore why they were so overpowered, the lasting impact they had on Destiny. But real quick, before we get into this, please subscribe as it's the best way to support me, and I spend hours on these videos. Thank you, I would appreciate it, and back to it. First off, obtaining Thorn and Last Word. It was no easy feat, especially Thorn, actually kinda just only Thorn. But for Thorn, players had to complete a multi-step exotic bounty called A Light in the Dark, and this was obtained from turning in normal bounties, which is now not a thing anymore in Destiny 2, but they had a chance to drop an exotic bounty, which was basically a quest. But this bounty required players to defeat Hive and collect their tusks. It was around 500 kills, which didn't take that long with strike farming and vision farming in Destiny 1, and then you would use void damage to kill the guardians in the Crucible. And at the time, this was crazy. The reason for this is because there were not a lot of good void weapons. I used a 150 RPM hand cannon, the Word of Crota, and you need 500 points to move on. And by the way, whenever you died, you lost points. It was kind of brutal and also a little forgiving because the kills give you 5 points and dying only took 2 points. But it was still very time consuming. Next, you would complete a special version of the Summoning Pit Strike on the moon. Remember Fogoth, the exiled ogre? Yeah, ogre of all exiles, that guy. You had to kill a special wizard in the boss room called Zygoth, and she was like honestly the easiest part of the entire dungeon. And you didn't even need to kill Fogoth. You could honestly just kill her and go to orbit, which is what a lot of players did. And then finally, you had to go to the speaker and you had your Thorn. On the other hand, the Last Word was literally a random drop. I don't remember how I got mine personally, but peep this clip of some guy loading into a match and instantly getting it. So Thorn was definitely harder to get, and some would say for good reason due to the sheer power of this gun. But let's talk about why they were so broken during this era. Thorn was notorious for its overtime damage effect. As far as I'm concerned, Thorn is the only 140 RPM hand cannon ever to be able to 2-tap in the Crucible. Once you landed a shot, the enemy would suffer poison damage that continued to tick away at their health. This made Thorn incredibly lethal in PvP. Players could literally land 2 headshots and walk away, and you would probably die. With the health pool of Destiny being around 200, the 2 headshots would do a total of 172 damage, and then the Linger perk would tick for 7 damage and most likely kill the target unless they were using the savior of all warlocks, the Ram. Back then, the Ram gave you more armor, and that's all anyone really cared about, because this alone would keep you alive from the dreaded Thorn 2-tap. At 1 HP, but you would still live. Now, for the Last Word, this weapon was dominating in close to mid-range fights. It was designed for hipfire accuracy, allowing players to fire rapidly without ADSing, and this made it crazy OP up close in Crucible, where shotgun rushers just got gunned down. The Last Word's ability to deliver rapid, high-damage shots made it nearly unbeatable in close-range encounters. But the real strength of the Last Word came from the perk that allowed it to do more damage while ADSing, going from like a 60 damage shot I think to a 100 damage headshot. And it was because of this players just ran snipers, because why run a shotgun when the Last Word exists and it will just bully you if you even make eye contact. Together, these 2 hand cannons dominated the meta, creating a significant imbalance in the gameplay, and players who didn't have this weapon were at an extreme disadvantage, leading to community-wide frustration and countless complaints about nerfing the powerhouses. But the dominance of these weapons led to significant debates from the Destiny community about balance and fairness. Bungie had to step in and nerf both Thorn and the Last Word to restore some level of balance to the game. Thorn's poison damage was reduced, and the Last Word's hipfire accuracy was toned down. Despite these changes, the damage had already been done. These weapons became symbols of the early days of Destiny, representing both the excitement and the power fantasy and the challenges of maintaining a balanced game. Now yes, I know Thorn came back in Rise of Iron, but I don't care. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Destiny 2. Fast forward to Destiny 2, and it came back with nerfed range and damage. The Last Word also made its triumphant return, much to the delight of longtime fans. However, their reintroduction came with updated quests and a bit more balanced approach to their mechanics. In Destiny 2, Thorn could be obtained through a quest line called Independent Study, and this quest involved completing a specific strike, collecting items in the EDZ, defeating guardians in the Crucible using void damage, completing a unique version of the sunsetted Savathunï~'s song Strike. That was a mouthful. And finally, players had to charge Thorn using void orbs. The Last Word also returned with a new quest called The Draw. This included defeating hive enemies, completing specific activities in the Tangled Shore, eliminating opponents in the Crucible with precision kills, and completing the Last Word mission on Titan. In Destiny 2, both hand cannons retained their unique identities while being balanced for the new game's sandbox. Thorn's poison effect remained deadly, but way more controlled and way less damage on it. It went from a 140 RPM to I think a 150, taking away any chance it had of 2-tapping ever again. And the Last Word's hipfire accuracy was impressive without it being overpowered. They also got rid of the glitch where it would do increased damage while not ADS. The return was a nostalgic nod to Destiny 1 and a chance for new players to experience these legendary weapons, just never in the same light. Thorn and the Last Word continued to be popular choices, proving their appeal to longtime and new Destiny players. And to this day, you can actually still see them being used in Crucible and even Trials, but it's nothing like how the year Year 1 era was. Nowadays, you pick these weapons for fun and to look back on it, not to dominate your opponents and have an easy 9-0 flawless run in Trials. And there you have it. The era of Thorn and the Last Word in Destiny 1 Year 1 was a time of intense balance issues and unforgettable overpoweredness. That's not a word. Together, these hand cannons not only dominated the game, but also shaped Destiny and left a lasting impact on the community. The exotic primary sniper rifle, No Land Beyond. Whether you loved it or hated it, some reason, I don't know why you would hate it, but there's no denying this weapon made a huge impact on Destiny. So let's dive into what made No Land Beyond so special and why it still has a place in many Destiny players' hearts, including myself. So many players wrote it off as a joke and kind of like a meme weapon, especially because it didn't have a scope. It was literally just iron sights that took up a majority of your screen when zooming in. And the game was already dominated by pulse rifles, hand cannons, and auto rifles, so why would anyone use a sniper in the primary slot? But as time went on, something unexpected happened. No Land Beyond became a sleeper hit. The main perk, the Master, provided increased precision damage and faster reload if you got a precision kill, and you paired that with Mulligan, which returned a round to the magazine after missing a shot. Skilled players could chain headshots and keep pressure on in PvP, mainly Trials. To be honest, these perks didn't really see much playtime, but more than the perks, it was the playstyle that was encouraged and set it apart from any other weapon. It required a different kind of mindset thing. You needed good aim, good reflexes, and you had to be good in general. And especially how fast-paced Crucible was, in the hands of a skilled player, No Land Beyond was crazy good. Now, where No Land Beyond truly shined, those perks I just mentioned, useless. They don't matter. No one cares. Because players learned that if you shoot quickly, instead of waiting for the bolt to cock back, you could just reload, sprint, and cancel the animation of the reload and shoot it again. So now, despite its humble beginnings, this weapon had found a place in the hands of many top-tier players who mastered this unique handling. And suddenly, Guardians were pulling off insane plays, even dominating in Trials of Osiris, the pinnacle of PvP gameplay back then, turning what was once seen as a novelty meme weapon into a meta-defining powerhouse. The weapon's iron sights, initially viewed as a disadvantage, became kind of like a badge of honor. If you could land headshots consistently with No Land Beyond, you were a very good player, and players knew that. Or they would call you out for hacking, that too. It showed you that even in a game full of weird futuristic weapons, sometimes the classic bolt action was all you needed. And the fact that it could one-shot to the head and two-tap to the body, and it took primary ammo, meaning you never had to wait for special ammo or worry about it because you rarely ran out. This meant you could use other special weapons with it, another sniper, a shotgun, or the most infamous tossing a sidearm on there. But the fact it could one tap to the head and two tap to the body was crazy, because this meant you had a sniper with primary ammo at all times. Aside from PvP, this weapon would sell a little bit of PvE playtime. No Land Beyond was primarily known for its PvP dominance, but it also had moments of PvE. Guardians who wanted to challenge themselves would bring No Land Beyond into raids and strikes, proving you don't need high rate of fire, massive mags, huge damage to succeed. I feel like the most notable feat was when Datto took No Land Beyond to Crota. Back when Crota was a strike boss, he would have been damaged to make him kneel, so you could start the damage with the sword. And this damage to kneel was normally 2 Gallowhorn shots, but Datto and 5 others did it with No Land Beyond. And this brings us to the memes. No Land Beyond became a symbol of skill and at times comedic relief. You pulled this weapon out when you wanted to flex on your team or others, or if you were just looking to have some fun. The community embraced it and it became an integral part of the game's culture. It became a fun challenge to go flawless with No Land Beyond or anything Crucible related, because anything with PvE in that weapon was seen as difficult at the time. And players started trying it with No Land Beyond. And from that point on, No Land Beyond became a powerhouse. I wouldn't say it was meta or anything, but if you put it in the hands of a skilled player, it definitely dominated the Crucible. Even though Destiny 2 introduced a whole new arsenal of weapons, No Land Beyond still holds a special place in the hearts of many players. It represents a time in Destiny where experimentation and skill expression were at their peak. It wasn't an easy weapon to use, but that's why it was so loved. No Land Beyond rewarded precision and practice, and it stood testament to the idea that in Destiny, anything was a good gun as long as you were good enough. Nowadays, you can hardly compete with off-meta weapons. In Destiny 1, this weapon just shows how you could. So why did I make a video on No Land Beyond? Well, I wanted to, first off. Second, it wasn't even just a weapon, it was my favorite gun of PvP, besides like OG Red Death or Last Word. So please comment down below any other videos you'd like to see from me, or what your favorite guns from Destiny 1 were. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any crazy plays or great memories with No Land Beyond, please be sure to tell me this story in the comments. As always, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video.